Good afternoon and good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. James Show. I am Dr. James Smith Jr. and as usual, looking forward to a both informational and transformational show. January 18th, the month is just about half over. How are you doing with those resolutions, those goals, those things you said you were going to do going forward this year? Are you still trending up or are you back to what you were doing pre-2022? Hopefully this show today will be a springboard to trending in the right direction again. Our guest for today, Chase Tremor, he is a director of the Philadelphia Program for Special Olympics, Pennsylvania. He's also an amazing, amazing man. I serve on the board of Special Olympics. I've had a chance to spend some time with Chase, and I'm looking forward to sharing his wisdom and expertise with you. Chase Tremor, welcome to the Dr. James Show. How are you, my friend?
Great, Dr. James. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Wonderful January Tuesday, but better to be here with you and all of our guests today.
Well, thank you. When we met initially, and I learned that you used to teach at my whole high school, University City High School in Philly, I'm like, okay, I want to get to know him because you got to be brave to work in that school.
Yeah.
Well, and then at least brave in the late 70s, early 80s.
And then you broke out the varsity jacket just to prove it that you were one of the esteemed alums of the school. Yeah, I worked at University City High School during my time, actually as an AmeriCorps member with City Year Philadelphia. I led teams of volunteers providing academic support, after-school programs, mentorship, supporting teachers in the classroom, and was really shaped who I am today. Just that experience. Looking forward to sharing who I was prior to that, and just how that experience at University City High School, which sadly the building is no longer there. There's obviously still the community that the school served is still there, but it was a really remarkable experience for me personally.
I was going to ask you what contributed to that remarkable experience. I went to university from 75 through 79 before you were even born, and we developed a family atmosphere. Even now, if you were to talk to U City alum, they will say you could take the school away from us, but you can't take away our school spirit. So we still have memories about the fun we had, the challenges we had. But what particular about that experience for you helped shape you into the person, the director of the Special Olympics that you are today?
Well, quite honestly, and really simply, it was my first time stepping into a school that I was a minority. A really comprehensive school in the city of Philadelphia, serving students primarily within the neighborhood of West Philadelphia, labeled University City, but also the specific neighborhood of the Bottom.
The Bottom. Can you imagine a neighborhood called The Bottom?
Yeah. So I learned a little bit more about the history and the evolution of a community via a school as what could be an anchor institution, but also something that was maybe over time had not served the students to the level and the degree that they all deserve. So for me, the shocking experience was being a minority for the first time in my life, and understanding the complexities of identity. Being introduced to that without having to ever think about that before, and then just learning about the stories of the individual students that I got to meet. The beauty, their artistic creativity, their intelligence, also some of the challenges that they faced in whether it be in their neighborhood or in their home. A lot of those challenges presented by low income or under-resourced experiences.
When I attended University City, it was 95% demographically Black African American. Then I went to college, Widener University, which was demographically almost 95% white. So the dichotomy was amazing. Amazing. But thinking about stories, before we dive into your Special Olympics story, in doing our research, we came across a photo. And I wanted you to speak to that photo, the significance of it, and why did you find it relative? Let's take a look at that photo. It says, "The people have spoken." The people have spoken. Wow. Talk to us about that.
That's Philadelphia right there. That's when that was a celebratory expression of our democratic process working. That was a photo I think I captured while on a run, getting some exercise. Telling my wife, who I was going to get some exercise, but I also just kind of wanted to stop by and see the action, what was happening at the convention center downtown after the count of the recent presidential election was sort of completed here in the city where really democracy and our American democracy originated, and so that's what that was from.
Beautiful, beautiful. Chase, what is the Special Olympics and what makes it special?
Yeah, well, Special Olympics is an organization that was founded in 1968. You think about what was happening back then. It was actually founded in Chicago. I believe it was the same year where there was a lot of social unrest and things like that. But it was actually an organization was founded with a mission to fight for inclusion of people with intellectual disabilities through the power of sports. And so it was a stand against injustice, isolation, the intolerance of people with intellectual disabilities, what they faced for a long time, and and it was bringing people together through sports. People of all races, genders, cultures, backgrounds, abilities, continue to face some discrimination. However, bringing those folks together through sports is something that has been the critical element of our mission. It's the primary vehicle to bring those folks together. And the beauty of the community of people with intellectual disabilities is representative of all other sort of like demographics. And so it's our organization, we believe, is a uniter, one that not only helps people learn how to practice and compete in sports like basketball or swimming, but also helps serve the needs from a education and a health standpoint as well.
During your tenure there, what has made it special to you? You, the person, you, the director, you, the husband, the father of three. What has made it special for you?
I think it's getting to work on an organization that is a community of people with very different backgrounds, but those individuals, those athletes have really helped shape and influence the person and the father that I am and want to become. And that's continuously working to build a more inclusive world. Just being, impacted while I'm also serving is something that I feel very grateful for and try to be cognizant of, is, the athletes who are participating in things like our leadership development program and go on to, speak publicly to elected officials. I had one of my friends, John, who joined me at Capitol Hill Day last year, and so he was advocating with elected officials, U.S. representatives, state and federal lawmakers, and advocating not only for himself but also for his fellow Special Olympics athletes. And so that's really incredible just to see the work and the development and the growth, but also the influence that people within our organization have on each other.
You said influence. I know, based on what you shared with me, that the video that we're about to show features someone who has had a profound role in your journey to inclusion and Special Olympics. Her name is Loretta Claiborne. We're going to watch a brief clip of it, and when we return, I want you to fill in the blanks and again continue to tell us more about Loretta, Ms. Claiborne. Let's take a look.
I just love buses. I know a lot of people hate buses, but I don't drive, and like the old thing says, Either driving up to us, ride the bus. Probably could write a story about the bus. My name's Loretta Claiborne. I was born and raised right here in York, Pennsylvania. I didn't always have a voice. Everybody wants to have a voice, but when you're the kid that's always pushed away, it makes it tough. My mother fell down the step when she had me. And I was born blind and didn't walk to the age of 4. I probably wouldn't go to school. I probably wouldn't be able to read. Don't even think about getting a diploma. I remember sitting at the table and my mom would say, "Oh, Stella, you're going to be really good at this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that." And then it'll get to Debbie. "Oh yeah, Debbie, you're going to do really well." And I said, "What about me?" And she says, "You're just going to be Loretta." You know, that's kind of sad. And I would just hang my head down. I said, why do I have to just be me? What happened to me, I got angry. So I didn't have to use my voice. I used my fists. And that's how I thought maybe I would communicate to get by. As I got into going to high school, I was having some struggles because I couldn't read that well, or I didn't fit in. The kids looked at me and says, "Hey, you, Special Eddie, we don't know retards in this class." And I got in trouble again. I took a hammer to a guy. Call comes on the intercom, "Can Loretta Claiborne please show up at the Gilreath's office?" He got me settled down. He said to me, "Loretta, you can't live your life like this. You got to learn that your feet will take you more places than using your fists." And I didn't know it, that something was going to happen that's going to change my life.
What changed your life? What happened? Fill us in. What happened?
We cut a little short there. Yeah, I think in 1969, Loretta Claiborne started competing. She started training with Special Olympics, a Special Olympics program, a running program that was started up in her neighborhood. She was, really hesitant at first. I think her mother was really hesitant to put her out there, but she started running. And, since then, she's continued to run. She's continued to compete, nationally, internationally. She's even had a Disney movie about her life. And as you mentioned,
I saw a TED Talk that she did.
Yeah. An incredible ambassador and leader, and someone who, as you referenced, has definitely influenced my career. And that's specifically because I'm also from York, Pennsylvania. So I grew up in the same town as Loretta Claiborne, a few generations later. My grandmother, who is 93 years old, was Loretta's home economics teacher in middle school. And so, Loretta came up from the basement where she and some of her other students who were in a special education program, they had a self-contained experience. And this class was one of the first classes that was inclusive for Loretta. And, my grandmother tells a story of Loretta joining her class, and there was a lot of nervousness around the administrator and other teachers, and Loretta just fills the room with so much energy and passion, and even back then she was always such a confident person despite some of the challenges that she faced socially. And she learned how to sew. When I first met Loretta after joining Special Olympics Pennsylvania as a staff member, I met Loretta and she was sewing, and she recently knit a hat for my grandmother and sent it to her with a little note, just saying, "Hi, how you doing? Thank you." But she's a woman who is really a celebrity in my hometown, and someone who really inspired a passion to really serve others in me.
Let's go back a little bit. Your hometown, then you went to Delaware. You majored in journalism and English. We have that in common. But you also studied urban education. What was the inspiration around studying that particular area?
I think I just really realized that there were different experiences across our educational models here in whether it be in the state of Pennsylvania or across the country, and different levels of access and resources. And as you mentioned, I was studying journalism doing a lot of sports writing.
Same here.
and realized that, it wasn't really something that I wanted to pursue, a desk job at a local paper. I think I was right on the edge of not that print media is completely dead, but learned a lot of the processes of like the old ways, and realized that there are other things I wanted to do with my energy, which was to sort of transform things that I could potentially dedicate my time and effort towards. And so education was something that I was really drawn to, and started to learn a little bit more about our education systems in America, and then decided to do a year of national service in that capacity, helping serve students in a underserved, under-resourced school community. And that's what led me to University City High School.
Big heart. There's a question in the chat room. Chase State said, what are 3 important items that everyone should know about the Special Olympics? I know there are myriad items people should know, but if you had to extract and pull out 3, where the camera's on you, they're like, Chase Tremor, man, tell us about Special Olympics.
Well, I would say 3. Yeah, I would say one is that we have, an incredible amount of sports training and competition opportunities that we bring together the entire state of Pennsylvania, as well as the entire, world through sports and shared gifts and joy. Everything from basketball, which is pretty popular here in Philadelphia in our program, to equestrian. We also have obviously gymnastics.
For my research, it says 5 million participants, 172 countries, and 1,000 events a year.
Yeah. And so it's very much these big events, but leading up to all those big events, people are training on a weekly basis, and volunteers are coaching on a weekly basis, helping athletes achieve their sports goals. So that's often something that people don't necessarily think about, is that this is a year-round experience. Second, I would say that what we're doing around supporting equal access to healthcare is really critical. Really working to change health outcomes for people with intellectual disabilities, who on average die 16 years sooner than the general population. So
16 years sooner. Okay.
Part of that is certainly access, but it's also education, provider education, and also early recognition of needs. So many adults with intellectual disabilities continue to see a pediatrician. And so those providers aren't always the best to provide healthcare services. And so we're doing a lot of work around inclusive health, bringing in medical volunteers at events to help identify things for care for our athletes, and really promoting more inclusive health overall. And then the third, I would say, is the work around schools, and bringing communities and schools together through our unified sports program, which brings people with and without intellectual disabilities together on the same sports teams. Of course, this is something that connects directly to social and emotional learning, and developing young leaders, and supporting supportive environments in the least restrictive space from an educational standpoint. Can certainly help reduce bullying, and it promotes understanding. But those typically developing students, those that are non-disabled, they're having an incredible influence on their peers with disabilities, but it's a reciprocal experience and reciprocal process. There are students, general education students, who are changing and experiencing as much growth as their peers with a disability. And so this idea of a reciprocal impact is something that is really helping to transform a lot of our school partners in cities like Philadelphia.
Would you say that the Lincoln High School National Banner Ceremony falls into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the beautiful
show a quick
video of that. Yeah,
it's the Lincoln High School National Banner Ceremony. After we play that, we're going to ask you to fill in the blanks. What do we miss? What contributed to that? Great. Let's take a look at that particular video.
I pledge to look for the lonely, the isolated, the left out, the challenged, the bullied. I pledge to overcome the fear of difference and replace it with the power of inclusion.
The energy in this room is amazing, and that's so fitting because this school, Lincoln High School, has been at the forefront of unified sports for many, many years.
Our unified sports has taught me sportsmanship, teamwork, and citizenship.
Unified sports has made me a strong and confident woman.
And this isn't something that you just get. You earned it.
Unified sports has made me become a very motivated young man. It has shown me I have opportunities in my life. I've been lucky, so lucky, to be able to be involved with this organization for several years, and it has given me an opportunity to make a lot of friends. So I'd like to thank all of you.
How can you not watch that and your heart not be jumping out your chest?
Yeah. Makes me want to run through a wall. You know, I'm ready to take that football and score a touchdown.
Tell us about what happened, fill in some of the blanks. Who are some of the other high schools that participate? That seemed so compelling.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln High School here in Northeast Philly area is one of the most outstanding unified champion schools in not only the city of Philadelphia, but the state of Pennsylvania, and nationally recognized for their commitment to inclusion. You know, they met 10 standards of excellence to receive this national recognition. And those standards include things they do around school climate to promote inclusion, things they do around inclusive sports, unified sports, bringing students with and without intellectual disabilities onto the same field, the same playing surface, wearing the same uniforms together, and also the leadership development that they do collectively, the unified leadership. So growing both students with and without intellectual disabilities through our partnership. So Lincoln is currently one of about 38 schools in the city of Philadelphia that partner with Special Olympics to promote inclusion. And that banner ceremony was obviously celebrating their success, not only the school community, you know, the teachers and administrators, but really most importantly, those students who have been empowered, who have been supported, who are really the true leaders of the culture of inclusion at Lincoln High School. And so just, I could talk forever. We could do another session just about the Unified Champion Schools program and the opportunities for growth and transforming, you know, our school communities through that. And so that's one of the most exciting pieces of work that we get to do here.
That's powerful. I love what Lincoln High School is doing, and I love their school colors, black and gold. Just
yeah, that's right.
University City.
Yeah, University City was one of the very first school partners within the Unified Champion Schools program, and so yeah, it started with unified soccer, and yeah, now we've grown to, like I said, about 38 partner schools, and our ambitious vision is to, you know, bring this program to every school where there's a population of students with and without intellectual disabilities, so that they can have this continued connection to unified sports, but also promote more inclusive school communities in every neighborhood.
That is awesome. Chase, someone out there in chat room land said, "Have mercy, I didn't expect to be crying today." Yeah. But Chase, you know, when you guys are looking for volunteers or recruiting volunteers, as well as hiring people, what type of person do you look for? Are there characteristics? Are you looking for attributes of someone who's patient, giving? I mean, what is, I guess, the formula for being able to come support, help, and perhaps even work for the Special Olympics?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I think there's no one specific and exact profile, but folks that are passionate about change, passionate about transforming and serving others. Folks that are not in the field or in the work for personal gain, but for the progress and success of others, including their colleagues, and some of my colleagues are also Special Olympics athletes. So, we're really strive to be a representative organization in that sense. So I think, someone who's passionate about inclusion, inclusion is accepting people as equals, regardless of their ability or ethnicity or age or religion or their gender identity. And you don't necessarily have to be an expert, because we're an organization that's continuing to work on that, even one that has been promoting inclusion and this idea of a revolution based on a more inclusive world. We're continuing to grow and learn. And so I think it's passion, selflessness, and a desire to learn and grow and develop.
I'm gonna stay with this passionate theme, because you guys got something brewing in the next week that to me requires a whole lot of passion to do the Polar Plunge. Let's take a look at a little video and then fill us in on everything that's involved with the Polar Plunge that's coming up, I believe, next Friday and Saturday. Let's take a look.
That's right.
Are you ready to take the plunge? Special Olympics Pennsylvania invites you to take the Polar Plunge at multiple locations statewide, or participate in the virtual Polar Pop from the comfort of your own home. Every minute you spend in the cold will warm the hearts of thousands of Special Olympic athletes and provide year-round services to people with intellectual disabilities. 'Tis the season to be freezing for a reason. Visit plungepa.org to sign up today.
Chase, it's funny, when I went skydiving a few years ago, I posted it on social media, and a number of people said, nope, not doing it. That's crazy. Well, jumping into that freezing water, I think we're going to be at Citizens Bank Park, right?
That's right. Yeah, we'll be at the home of the Philadelphia Phillies. And if you wanted to jump out of a plane and then into the pool, that would just be phenomenal. But I don't know if it's quite that level of adventure, but it's something that's a tradition here, not only in Special Olympics Pennsylvania, but really across our broader organization globally. We take the Polar Plunge to support programming that we do year round, all the things that we described in communities, program we do with supporting schools. We take the plunge to continue to fundraise and ensure that all of that programming is completely free of charge to all participants. So this year's plunge, as you mentioned, will be next weekend, January 28th on Friday. We start with our Cool Schools Plunge, bringing out some of our school programs and students who have been leading efforts within their school to support their own programming and Special Olympics. And then on the 29th, we'll be doing a public general plunge at Citizens Bank Park. And it's really exciting. It's a fun atmosphere. There'll be, plunge town and plunge festivities. There'll also be plenty of opportunities to just watch other people and have some hot coffee and take pictures. I'm excited. This will be, I believe, my 6th plunge. And I'm going to be doing it twice next week, right? So
overachiever, you.
right. So we're very excited to continue this, and ultimately it all supports the continued work, the continued programming, and also our growth and our ability to serve more people with intellectual disabilities. I'll share with you, we serve roughly 16,000 statewide, but there's a huge population of people, including here in Philadelphia, that we're not reaching. The city of Philadelphia has one of the highest disability populations in the entire country for as large as the city is. And we're serving roughly 1,000 people here in Philadelphia, and we could be doing so much more. And a lot of that growth will be supported through events like the Plunge that bring us together.
Now, if someone joins you next Friday and Saturday and said they learned about Special Olympics and Chase Tremor from watching the Dr. James show, what special gift do you have for them?
Well, I could probably get them a T-shirt, show off their pride. I could probably, help them with maybe buy them a libation of some sort, either to warm them up with hot chocolate or some other
I love
type of libation.
Nice hot toddy, right?
After they plunge,
After they plunge, you hear that? You got to plunge. You got to contribute to the festivities.
Right.
Chase, there's a question in the chat room that says, did you get a chance to watch the coverage of Special Olympic World Games and National Games on ESPN the past few years? The 2022 Special Olympics National Games in Orlando on ESPN. What are your thoughts about the WWE is now with regard to partnering with Special Olympics?
Yeah, that is awesome. And that sounds like somebody who knows a lot about Special Olympics asking that question.
Is your wife contributing the question, or somebody on the board contributing?
I think that's one of our athlete leaders who joined in this session. So I think I'm going to give a shout out to Tare, who's an amazing athlete and also has his own talk show that he hosted. So check out SOPA tonight on the SOPA Special Pennsylvania YouTube channel, and you'll see Tare.
SOPA, SOPA Special Olympics Pennsylvania. Please check it out. Yeah. And something tells me we got to get Tare on this show.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I had the chance I joined the organization right at the time of the USA Games, which was held in Seattle, and got to see opening ceremonies. It was an amazing event. It was broadcast on ESPN. DJ Marshmallow, for those of you of maybe a younger generation than me, he's a guy from Philly, who like performed, and that was just part of the fanfare. But the competition was incredible, and we're really excited about USA Games in Orlando. We'll have a few athletes from right here in the city of Philadelphia that will be traveling down there to compete. Anytime that we have the opportunity to be on a national stage, things like the partnership with WWE obviously help amplify the Special Olympics mission, and many athletes are huge fans of wrestling, professional wrestling. But
wrestling,
yes, right, and with some of their superstars have really been really gracious and done a lot to support athletes individually as well as the organization. So again, Tare, thanks for queuing me up with some awesome questions.
When I think about wrestling, I go back to the mid to late 70s with Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, Chief Jay Strongbow, Gorilla Monsoon, Andre the Giant. Okay, I'm dating myself right now.
Yeah.
That's back in the day.
Yeah, I was, I guess, the era of definitely Hulk Hogan and Randy Macho Man Savage. Those are my wrestling influences.
Macho Man Randy Savage. I loved it. Another question: what are your thoughts on the power of inclusion? For example, why is it important to do? What are some ways to do it? But before you answer the question, I believe we have a little clip on the Inclusion Revolution, the 5-year campaign you've been on. So let's watch the clip, and then let's go into the question that we got in the chat room.
Special Olympics Pennsylvania is leading the revolution to engage, empower, and transform our communities to ensure full inclusion for people with intellectual disabilities. But we can't do it alone. We need you to be a game changer to help us make it happen. We want to serve more athletes, supported by well-trained coaches, and increase our inclusive unified sports programming that brings individuals with and without intellectual disabilities together. We will support athletes in improving their overall health by providing fitness programs and engaging healthcare providers to offer health and wellness screenings. And we will empower athletes to become effective self-advocates and inspirational leaders in their communities through formal training and hands-on leadership roles. We need you to be a part of our campaign. Join the Inclusion Revolution and make a difference today.
All right, talk to us about this revolution that's going on and the question, which highlighted the significance and importance of inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, it really highlights our strategy, our strategic plan, our vision as an organization, what we strive to accomplish, at a really high level, is to promote greater opportunities for people of all backgrounds, particularly people with intellectual disabilities, to achieve greatness, right? And part of that is to help build a more inclusive world and society, so that greatness and their efforts can be, supported. Being an inclusive group or organization, it's not just something that you put a sticker on your logo and you've got it. It means that there's opportunity for all people to be involved and meaningfully contribute. That's really critical, I believe, when it comes to an inclusive organization, that there's an intentional effort that's made to support equitable social footing within this space, and not just access, from a disability access standpoint, but that it's within the culture as well. And one thing that I referenced before, and we've talked about, one of our big pillars is leadership. Leadership is really, I think, an important part of just representation in our organization. So, this critical component, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is, the term that's probably more important than diversity is really representation. And that's when people are centered within the mission of the operations. And for us, programs like leadership development, where we have athletes joining boards, athletes joining committees that inform the direction of our organization, that are part of the strategic planning committee, is an important component of what true representation means when you're serving people of all different backgrounds and working to be a more inclusive organization.
I'm watching these videos, people jumping into cold water, people high-fiving all over the place, asking for support relative to inclusion. I get it. This is a compelling, awesome organization, awesome journey. But Chase, during this evolution or during this journey, what type of challenges have you faced, either organizationally or individually, where, how that song goes, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Oh, yeah. Have there been any of those situations where it tested your resolve, tested your patience, frustrated you? We see all the good, but we know there's always two sides.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, there's certainly challenges. Some of it is, policies that exist, for example, education, and some of the limitations around, educational services for people with special education needs can sometimes certainly be challenging. And I mean, how can I not, mention the public health crisis and the COVID pandemic and what that has meant for our organization, but more importantly, our community and people with intellectual disabilities. There's research that has shown through this epidemic that people with intellectual disabilities are 6 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than the general.
Can you say it again? 6 times?
6 times, yes, yeah. And so that's an incredibly, hard reality. And so we've done a lot within this time of pivoting to, educate around, COVID health and safety, and certainly vaccination, and really to, support our athletes in a very different way, while we're not able, or we haven't been able to be, in the gym, out on the practice field as often or as frequently as we, have been doing for 50 some years. It's been a significant challenge, but we've worked to adapt, done some virtual programming, established some ways to return to activity and in-person programming with health and safety at the forefront. And so, that's something that we see as a silver lining, is the connections that we've made with each other, from South Philly to Beaver County, bringing athletes together more frequently through a more digitally connected world is something that I think will be part of our organization moving forward, and hopefully ultimately that'll help us be even more inclusive, because we'll be more aware and more connected across the different life experiences that we have, even just in this state of Pennsylvania.
Chase, tell me about the coaches and volunteers. How were they able to inspire and champion? Back when I played ball in school, get up, five more, another lap. You're not giving it to me. You're weak. There's no crying and those were the coaches that I experienced. They don't show up at Special Olympics events. So what are the coaches doing to keep the fire burning? And what do they do if someone wants to take a time out?
Yeah. Well, I would say they might not use that exact same language, but we have some pretty hard driving coaches that really prioritize sport and skill development and competition. So winning is important. It's not just everybody gets a medal, a ribbon,
a trophy. It's powerful.
Yeah. We have people that are, have really high expectations from a sport performance standpoint. We also have coaches that are motivated more so from the aspect of bringing, the athletes they serve together from a social standpoint, break down some of the common experiences of isolation that people with intellectual disabilities typically face. So our coach core is incredibly diverse, incredibly passionate and energetic, and I am just amazed and impressed by our coaches. Many of them are family members, but here in Philadelphia, I can name Coach John, Coach Rosemary, Coach Terry. So many who are doing this. They're motivated not because they have a brother or a sister or a child or a friend. They're doing it because they really truly believe in the mission, and it's not necessarily family that's brought them in, but it's family now that keeps them in and keeps them engaged. And so I would say that our coaches are incredibly impactful and meaningful, and they're sport coaches. They're also mentors, and they're the ones really truly driving the transformation and change that we see in things like access to employment, access to healthcare, helping people navigate really challenging systems in our city and state. And so coaches,
if there's a possibility that if we do attend a sporting event, we might hear someone saying, try.
Yeah.
I think Terry said having fun is the most important aspect for Special Olympics.
That's easy for Tari to say, because I think he probably has a whole lot of medals.
He has a lot of bling.
Yeah.
Chase, I'm gonna put you in what we call the hot seat during our show. The hot seat is a quick activity where I give you a word and you share the first word or words that come to mind. This is a talk to think, not a let me see here. Nope, we want it to come right away. No thinking, just talking. Are you ready to be in the hot seat, Chase Tremor?
I'm ready. I'm strapped in. I'm ready to go.
All right. Your first word, inclusion.
I would say representation.
Hope.
Belief.
Diversity.
Ooh, I already said representation. Can I switch? No, I would say equity.
Polar Plunge.
Free for the athletes.
Authenticity.
Honest.
Leadership.
Power.
Courage.
Strength.
Change.
Transformation.
Chase Tremor.
Father, husband, servant leader.
You are off the hot seat. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Trace, I said Chase and Tremor at the same time.
It's fine.
How do organizations benefit from getting involved with the Special Olympics?
Yeah.
How do they grow? How do they learn? What can they get from playing a role in this incredible journey that so many are on?
Well, I think it's important as organizations continue to prioritize the work they're doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion to be, supporting organizations that may serve their own constituents, their customers, their employees, families. And so, getting involved, of course, helping with our sustainability so that we continue to, provide uniforms to experiences like going off to Orlando, flying to compete and represent your state in our USA games, running the gamut there in terms of like the operations. Helping to fund that is obviously something that jumps out and could be a really easy one, right? Sure. But also like getting more deeply involved in building awareness within your organization and contribute to the culture. When we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, that we're also inclusive of the disability community, which is incredibly diverse. There's a lot of invisible and visible disabilities, and there's so much intersectionality and representation within our community of special mixed athletes that organizations could only benefit from being associated, not only in aligning with the brand and all of that, but also helping bring us in to show and showcase to employees what this organization does and how it can also mutually benefit an organization and their.
You've mentioned diversity and inclusion several times. What is your approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace? What is your approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's kind of work and personal, whatever space I'm in, trying to strive to be an ally by observing, listening, being aware of the context and the historical privileges of being a cisgendered, straight, white, non-disabled man, which right. I am, and calling on others to this work, certainly being inclusive when addressing things like policies, things that are intentional or unintentional, and have conversations about what I see and hear, but also just recognize the struggles that marginalized people may have faced or continue to face, and first and foremost, listen and hand the microphone over to people that have been muted for a long time.
Ooh, that's good. Share the mic. Yeah. Chase, complete this sentence. If it was not for blank, or if it weren't for blank, I don't know I would be doing what I'm doing today. If it were not for blank, it could be a person, an experience, a situation. If it wasn't for blank, I'm not sure I'd be doing what I'm doing today.
Well, I would say if it were not for my family, I would not be doing what I'm doing today. And that's for a number of reasons, being supported, to be the first person in my family to graduate from college. My family, we started a funnel cake business to pay our way through school, but also being shaped by the people of my family, including folks with disabilities, with my family members, my close friends growing up. Early introduction to people that were, had differences and disabilities was something that I wouldn't call myself an inclusion native, but I feel like it's something that I was originally exposed to and now feel more empowered and passionate about, serving.
What do you want your legacy to be? When it's all said and done and Chase is sitting back drinking iced tea and lemonade on the deck, what do you want your legacy to be, or some of the stories you'll be sharing with others?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would just be the achievements that people that I've been, connected to, the success of others, being able to say that, that student who was on the unified bocce team at George Washington High School is now,
you were an Eagle.
Yeah, an Eagle, now an NBA player. I mean, that's a real story and not one that I would take any credit for. But we have, folks that have gone on to do really great things, and they may have been introduced to the world of others with disabilities through our sports programming. And so, whether they become successful professional athletes or they obtain a job that they're happy and they have the opportunity to earn a living wage and contribute their own skills and get some satisfaction of that, daily living, is something that I would be really honored and proud to say I had some small part of.
We're going to share some photos with events that I believe you play a key role in. Let's first take a look at I believe this is the fall?
Some photos there from Fall Fest.
I believe it's the Fall Fest, the 2021 Fall Fest.
Yeah, an amazing event. This past Fall Fest event was our return to in-person after over a year of being virtual, and just incredible atmosphere on campus. This is an event that is really the largest student-run sports competition in the world. It's Villanova University students play a huge part in organizing this competition and hosting athletes from across the state on campus. Typically a few thousand athletes come to stay there and experience the competition that brings everyone together. And you see obviously some basketball. In years past, we've had the Villanova men's basketball team participate in a unified basketball showcase.
Nice.
You see powerlifting, you see indoor roller skating, and you see some of the student leaders from Villanova who really embrace not only the event, they work incredibly hard to pull it off, but they also form friendships not only with each other but with athletes who've been competing for several years.
That is awesome. I think we also have the 2021 Eastern Fall Sectional. Let's take a look at those photos. The 2021 Eastern Fall Sectional. Let's take a look.
Yeah, this part of our competition model is have local competition opportunities that move up to regional or sectional competition that then moves up to state level. And now we talked about the USA games, and this was our Eastern Fall Sectional hosted by DeSales University. You can see Joe from Philadelphia with the ball there in the middle with the soccer ball. You see athletes and it looks like a National Guard member.
Yes.
An award ceremony. So incredible partnerships like support with law enforcement coming out, supporting our events and competitions. Flag football, top left, that flag football team in the black is going to be going to Orlando to represent Philly and Special Pennsylvania in Orlando in 2022. And now you can kind of see, you see a little bit of masks, you see people, you see looks of competition, looks of determination, just like you would see in any competition.
All in. And I think the last one we're going to show is the Msl Exchange 2019.
Yeah, the MLS Exchange program is an incredible program. This brings a team of our Unified Soccer League, which is part of our partnership with the Philadelphia Public League. We have unified soccer teams from our high school partners. And this was a team comprised of students from Furness High School in South Philly.
Yes.
So George Washington High School, students with and without intellectual disabilities who are teammates that train and practice and compete together. They've represented the Philadelphia Union against the, I believe this was against the New York Red Bulls. And it's an incredible program. The opportunities to travel, the opportunity to wear a kit that looks exactly like a professional soccer player. That's something that I'm envious of because I've never gotten that. But really cool opportunities. And I think one thing I just want to note, when you look at these photos, you see the diversity.
Yes, you do.
Represented, the visible diversity, but you also maybe don't know or can't tell exactly who has a disability and who doesn't. And that's exactly the way, really it should be. So these are teammates, these are friends, These are not people who are, labeled by their differences. They're brought together by their shared passion for sports and the game.
I know your calendar is full, and I know we have plans for next week, Friday and Saturday. What else is on the horizon for Special Olympics Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, we're right now we're working towards getting back to in person, coming out of this current state of community transmission. I'm very excited about basketball season around the corner, one of our major sports. So we'll be launching that within the next month or so. We're also really excited about our young athletes program, and this is a program to bring 2 to 7-year-olds together to introduce the world of sports and to introduce inclusion and unified sports programming. So bringing children as young as 2 into the same space, structured, supportive play, and to help build more of those inclusion natives, as I mentioned before, people who not only are comfortable with differences, but expect there to be representation of people with differences. And so, yeah, the Young Athletes Program is something we're very excited to grow through partnerships with early childhood providers, early childhood education providers, schools, and also community locations like our partners across the city.
Love it. I love it. Back to the chat room comment. Special Olympics is the family atmosphere of the organization. Love it. Love it. Chase, can you think of a time when one of the athletes came up to you with a hug, a thought, a thank you that really caused you to just stop and pause in your tracks? Can you remember a time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so many. I would say, we had a unified bocce team that competed and won the Philadelphia championship and got the opportunity to, go and compete at the state level and the PIAA competition. And just to, hear an athlete share that medal was the first time they'd won a medal, the first time that they had represented their school in a meaningful competition, and just how impactful it was to have a pep rally for their team at their school. That's just one sort of like example of things that are happening, pretty regularly, where there's just first opportunities or first moment. And when I think back on my life, I feel like I had the opportunity to experience that, quite often. I think, as a athlete, and to really cherish those moments has been something that's been really, profound to hear about from the athletes that we serve.
I love it. As a father with 2 sons who both are on the autistic spectrum, I know what it feels like to live with super special people. With regard to super special, Chase, we're at the point of the show where we ask our guest to do a mini, M-I-N-I, a mini keynote. 30 seconds, look right into the camera, test your mic out, motivational, inspirational. What do you want us to know? What do you want us to do? Any words of encouragement from you for the rest of this year, and or how it relates to the mission of the Special Olympics. So next voice you hear will be that of Chase Tremor with his mini 30-second keynote.
I would say, be a teammate, be a friend, welcome someone who's been left out in your world, sit next to someone who's alone at lunch, or say hello to someone in the hallway as you pass them by. There's so many ways to spread inclusion and ask you to choose yours. Choose your way to make a difference, to promote a more inclusive world. You can certainly do that by pledging your time and energy, really to help make inclusion a reality for all people here in, whether it be in Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, or across the world.
Did you hear that mic drop? Did you hear that mic drop? I heard it. I heard it. Chase Tremor, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Dr. James Show today. You've given us a lot more to consider, think about, perhaps things we haven't thought about before. But the Special Olympics are alive and well around the world. Before we let you go, folks, our boot camp is coming up. 2-day transformational informational boot camp on how to be a better presenter, how to engage an audience, how to light up a room virtually or from a distance, and how to get out of your own way, because we drive home personal power and the skill and will of presenting. Go to our website, register. We got 2 spots left. That's it, 2 spots. Thank you. Again, another phenomenal show. As I always say, informational, transformational, and don't forget, you've just been Gym Packed. See you next week. Bring a friend.